Right, okay.
I'll let you do.
Yeah, do the intro. Right, okay. Right. Welcome back to this week's Unprofessional podcast with myself, Alex, Jake here, and young Ben, because then he's called the oldest one in the bunch. So I thought call me young. So this week we're talking about pretty much absolutely anything sports related. So, Jake, first.
Who, me first?
Yeah, you first. What do you want to talk about?
Oh no. Well, I'll do a bit of sports, and then after you guys have done your bit, I'll do my bit afterwards because I think it's more of a
talk
at the
about
end.
United PSG.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I just think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to get shot in the face with a shotgun. Fred gets the yellow card for headbutting a man. So he's lucky to be on the pitch. He's surrounded by a bunch of PSG players who are known for their just horrible style of football and being wind-ups and cheating, diving bastards. Fred isn't exactly the most disciplined of players in the world. So you have an opportunity to take him off at half-time for a certain player like Donny van der Beek. And yet he stays on and inevitably gets yellow carded for getting the ball for tackling Ander Herrera. So I don't understand how we lost because Martial missed a sitter, Cavani missed a chip, which probably should have scored 2 more attempts in the first half. It's absolutely annoying, and now we've got to go to Leipzig and get some sort of result, which I don't think we're going to do.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up quite well there, haven't you, to be honest?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's the most infuriating night for a while, I'll tell you that much.
I didn't watch the game, but I watched the highlights the next day. And Bruno Fernandes standing in the middle of the pitch telling Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to make a sub was quite comical.
Sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. I
He's
think
literally the only player on the pitch who gives 10,000 fucks about the game.
Yeah, Martial's miss was absolutely atrocious, and I think with Fred, he was lucky to be on the pitch because in the Premier League, was it 2 weeks ago, Pepe got sent off for the exact same thing against Leeds.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the Fred incident got looked at, and they thought that was just okay for a yellow. So
yeah, we're lucky to have him on, but he should have been taken off. Right, at half time. You get away with it, don't you? And you think, right, cool, I'm not going to ride my luck anymore.
Yeah, true.
Take him off for a world-class centre midfielder like Donny van der Beek. No, keep him on so Ander Herrera can wind him up. No problem.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Like you said, PSG are renowned for like antics like that, aren't they? Especially like Neymar and
scumbags.
Yeah. I mean, Neymar back. I think that the half-time in the PSG changing room at half-time, it was probably something along the lines of, if Fred's still on the pitch, let's wind him up even more.
Yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I would set my boys out to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do as well. He's lucky to be on the pitch. Let's make sure he's not on the pitch at the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's just so United because we had so many chances as well. Like, we actually played better for probably like 20 minutes more than them. We probably just outplayed them.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's our clinicalness? Where's our 50 million striker that banged in 20 odd goals last season? Why ain't he doing it?
Yeah, I think it's weird with United because Ole seems to get, like, everyone starts criticising Ole and then he'll pull a result out of the bag. Like, when you went to PSG and you beat them there, and everyone goes, oh, this might be the turning point. And then you go to some Premier League team that you should be beating and you lose or you draw. And I think that it's the inconsistency in that team is ridiculous.
But
how many
Ed Woodward came out and said he supports him. How can you support that?
Yeah. I mean, when you played Southampton at the weekend, you were 2-0 down and you're thinking, oh my God, this, because in the first half, Southampton completely outplayed you. And in the second half, you'd like to give United their due. You were quality in the second half. And if you played like that every week, like Liverpool with City and like Chelsea this season, you'd be up there in the top. The inconsistency is ridiculous. And how many times does Ollie need to get that result, that big result where people go, oh, this might be the time that, this might be the turning of the tides for him to then fuck it up again without losing the job.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need the form back from when he first came in as like interim manager. You need that form back realistically, because he go like 12 games unbeaten or whatever it was, or even maybe more than that.
Well, we smashed it. Yeah.
The moment he got promoted to full manager, full time, it just went to shit.
That's the thing, though. When he came in as interim manager, United class because he was an ex-player, and the players wanted to play for him, and they thought, well, he's only going to be here for a few months or weeks or whatever, and we're going to get, a world-class manager in after him. And then they realised that actually he was going to be their full-time manager, and that he's not tactically as aware as some of the other managers that are out there. They turn around and think, well, we could have someone like Pochettino as our manager who would probably, take the club further than Solskjaer. And then it gets to the point where sometimes the players, their form dips. You don't see the training. You don't know if they're training as hard as they should be in training and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's more going on behind closed doors than is being let out, I think.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think so too, to be fair, mate.
Yeah. There was that when Ollie first got the job, and there was that thing going around, wasn't there, that a lot of people thought that Fergie was kind of coaching him through it, if that makes sense, because there was, he was in the stands and he was coming down into the changing rooms at half time and all that. And it was like, was Ollie getting a bit of a hand without kind of making it too obvious?
Probably. I mean, they always do talk about how they stay in touch and how he has actually asked him for advice before. And I think Ollie came out in an interview a few weeks ago, says that sometimes he styles his team talks and his, like on the touchline mentality around what Fergie does. Yeah. Which is it's not a problem, is it? But at the same time, you need to stamp your own authority.
That's what you say. It's not a problem, but is it a problem when you're not? If you're a manager, you can't. There's never been two managers that are the same, and there's never been two players that are the same. So if you're basing your managerial style on, word for word what Fergie used to be like in the changing room, you're not bringing your own sort of style and charisma to that team.
Yeah.
And tending to be someone else that, was successful, a long time ago, but would not necessarily be as successful now.
I think the going back to the point we made earlier with consistency, I think I don't know if we've already said this in this podcast, but we keep saving Ollie. He keeps going into a slump, and then we do something miraculous, get a bit of form, go back into a slump.
Yeah. And
the problem is, I would have sacked him probably his last slump he had.
Yeah.
I probably would have sacked him there. And then you have people like Pochettino sitting there going, well, I know tactics. I made something out of a Spurs team. I can play attacking football, and I'm going to bring a different genre to United. Something different. Not an old dinosaur, not a David Moyes, not a Van Gaal, not a Mourinho who's too stubborn in his ways. Yeah. A standard, good tactical wear manager who just offers something different with no United background, with no sort of legacy left behind other than making Spurs reach the final once. That's it. Just someone just fresh and ready.
Yeah,
I fully agree.
We've got Ollie, who's only ever managed a Norwegian team in Cardiff.
Yeah, and look what he did at Cardiff. He was awful.
Yeah, exactly. So I love Ollie. He's helped us. He's kind of brought some sort of aura back to us. A little bit like, come on, United. Like, we got into top 4 and we played some good football. But now it's like, okay, now pass the baton on. Let's do the last hurdle. Let's get someone good, and let's get back to where we belong.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just like, in my opinion, if say from now until the end of the season, Liverpool were, absolutely crap, and we finished outside the top 4, and we got knocked out of Champions League and all that kind of stuff, and they sacked, Jurgen Klopp, and they brought, I don't know, Gerrard, for example. I wouldn't want Gerrard there as a permanent manager. One, because of experience. Like, don't get me wrong, he's doing great. but he's still Premier League wise is inexperienced as a manager.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind him there. I wouldn't mind having someone like him there to guide us through to the end of the season or look after the team. But I would want an actual, a high class, good reputation manager to take over. And if I was a Man United fan and I've seen Pochettino sitting there doing nothing for the last year, well, a bit longer now, I'd be absolutely screwing.
I am, mate. I wanted Poch before Mourinho joined.
Yeah.
When we got rid of Van Gaal, I was thinking Pochettino's right there. He's at a Spurs team. Let's see if we can nab him.
Yeah.
Let's nab Pochettino because as much as Mourinho did win stuff with us, God, he does know how to leave your club in a bit of a ruin.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I wanted him before Mourinho, and then give Poch time, and then boom, you'd actually have a top class team.
Yeah, I think we said it last week about like why is Fernandes and Van der Beek not playing together, and I think if you had a manager there like Pochettino, every week you would have Van der Beek and Fernandes in that starting 11.
Yeah.
And he would find a way to make them play together. I mean, they already the times they have played together, they've proved that they play well together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Someone under Pochettino would have a tactic and a style of football that would be based around them two players.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but with Ollie, he's too set in his ways, and he's too. Oh, I used to play for United. Hey, I don't care anymore. Now I want you to manage United. Now I want you to actually do stuff, be as good as you were as a player as you were as a manager. But that never works, especially at your own clubs. Other than maybe Lampard, but I think he gets too much praise. But it's just. I've always hated players becoming a manager of their club.
Yeah.
Because it's too much like, oh, he scored 100 plus goals for us. Okay, what makes you think you can organise a back four?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I know a few Liverpool fans that are like, Jurgen Klopp's contract runs out in 2024, I think, and Gerrard's runs out in 2024 at Rangers. So, they're preparing for Gerrard to take over. And it's like, but I don't want that because I feel manager as well. If you come manage a club where you've got, like legendary status, you can put too much pressure because all the fans expect you to be a manager to the level of what you were as a player. And it's two completely different, like things that you have to do in the background and that. And some players are capable of going into that management and dealing with it, and some players aren't. I mean, you look at all the great. Look, Mourinho was never a great player.
No.
Ferguson was never a great player.
No.
I mean, all right, Guardiola did, play for Barcelona and Argentina and that, but he wasn't one of them players back then that you would go, oh my God, he's one of the best in the world.
No,
of course not. No. I think Mourinho said the other day, he said he was, I think his words was, I don't know if it was on his documentary or what, he said, I was shit.
Yeah.
I think he said I was a shit player, but I knew the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's about here, manager. It's about your head. It's not about your physical ability. It's about your thinking, your mental attributes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And when you're a player, you don't have to, unless you're a captain. You don't necessarily have to manage a squad of 18, 22, 25 players, do you? You play. You're more concerned about yourself and the 11 that you play with. Yeah. Whereas a manager, that ability to be able to man manage and squad manage a larger number of people. And I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's man management skills are up to scratch at all.
No, and tactically outwit your opponent week in, week out. I don't think you can do it.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because there's managers out there with worse squads, but more up here than Ole, and they're outdoing him on the pitch.
Yeah.
Well, you can see it. You can see it.
You look at West Ham, for example, this season.
Yeah.
They've West Ham have, all right, last season they weren't that great and they're a bit up and down. But this season they've started well. They're doing all right. They're on a hard run of fixtures that people didn't expect them to get any points out of, and they did. And that's because David Moyes recognises the ability of players that he has in that team and recognises the style of football that he needs to play with them players to get a result. And I don't think Solskjaer recognises that at all.
No.
And I think Solskjaer should kind of go down the Brendan Rodgers tactic at Liverpool. when Liverpool nearly won the league and we had Suarez, Sturridge and Sterling, Brendan Rodgers knew that our goalkeeper and our back four were very average at the time. But he knew that our striking options and, our attacking options and our midfield were, some of the best in the league. So he just went with it. He just went with the attacking tactic. And he went, well, if you score 2, we'll score 4.
Yeah.
And he nearly
got to do, don't you, when you like that.
And I think he nearly won a league doing it. And I think we conceded like the 6th most amount of goals that season.
Yeah, but it worked though.
He recognised defence weren't up to nothing and that he probably won't be able to get anything to strengthen it. So he went, well, I've got 3 players that play up front in a 4-3-3 that are class. I've got Steven Gerrard in my midfield who's class. I can base my team around them 4 and win games like that.
Let's milk it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what he should be doing at Man United now. I think Solskjaer should be going, right, well, I've got Van der Beek, I've got Bruno Fernandes, who arguably at the moment is the best central midfielder in the world. I've got them 2. I've got Rashford. I've got Cavani, who, proved against Southampton that he's still got an eye for goal.
Yeah.
So why basing his team around them 4 players?
Yeah,
every week, mate, he surprises me with something, the way he sets up, or a player that's in there who shouldn't be in there. And every week, it's a constant struggle, mate. Being a United fan for the last so many years, it's just the answer for me. The answer's outside the club and out, and with the Glazers. Get them out. Get an actual sporting director, and then get a manager like Poch, and that's it. How can I, a 22-year-old man, prison officer, see what Man United need, but the rest of Man United can't?
Yeah. No, I fully agree. But that's what Liverpool did, from my whole time growing up, from when I was born to basically, I had little bits of success under Benitez. But, when we won the Champions League in 2005, that was a fluke. And I would more than happily admit that.
Yeah,
that shouldn't have even been in the final. So, we nearly got close to winning the league under Benitez once and under Brendan Rodgers, but the club and the team were still crap. And when we had Hicks and Gillette, our owners, that didn't give a crap about the club. I think we were about 24 hours to going into administration before we got bought out. And we got brought out, and the chairman came in, wiped all the debts, came in and said, right, we need a sporting director, a technical director, a football director. We need to get the best managers, the best players. And they set out like a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Now look at that.
And now it's worked.
It's always about looking towards the future and planning out and being careful with it, rather than just trying to make an instant impact, which is what United try to do half the time, like they did with Van Gaal, did Moyes.
Yeah,
it worked.
Yeah,
it was never happened long term.
No, United are trying so hard to get that quick fix to get back to where they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. That
is actually made us worse.
It's just so. I think they need to.
They're turning a blind eye to what really matters, and that's the in-depth part of the club, not what's just on the pitch. It's the in-depth part of the club.
Yeah, and it's a domino effect as well, isn't it? If the top of your club is, struggling and is under pressure, and it's a rolling effect, isn't it? It comes down from the board to the manager to the coaches, all the way down to the players.
Yeah, of course.
And the whole time that the fans don't want the Glazers there, no one in United probably wants the Glazers there. And the whole time that that's going on, it's just a domino effect, and it affects everyone that works for the club and has anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
right then.
Let's
stop moaning about United. Let's get on it. Let's get on what you guys want to talk about.
Yeah. So
I love how the just slagging Man United.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you could probably argue, say the biggest news this week was Lewis Hamilton getting COVID-19 on Monday. That was the biggest news that no one expected to get, considering he's won now 7-time world champion, most influential person in F1 as well, and now all of a sudden he's got the self-isolating, can't race. And I think you could probably argue as well, the not so much surprise is who they've put in his place.
I'm very happy with George Russell.
Yeah, I am as
drive.
well. Like he's a class driver.
He's an unreal driver. I had a feeling when they announced that Hamilton had COVID, and they were like, "Oh, we don't know if it's going to be is it Stoppel Van Dorn because he's their test driver, isn't he?"
It's Gutierrez and Van Dorn, their test drivers.
Yeah, they said it was going to be Stoppel Van Dorn or George Russell. Straight away, I was like, "It's got to be George Russell."
Yeah,
because we know that Tito Wolff likes him a lot.
Yeah.
When he was in F2, he was in the Mercedes driving academy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's always been in the driving academy. He's still on Mercedes books as well, clearly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Mercedes, he was on Mercedes books, and they gave him to Williams, didn't they?
Yeah, because obviously Williams Williams are Mercedes engine partner. Mercedes, when we give you an engine, we'll give you a driver as well, and we'll pay the wages, sort of thing, and just to get a bit of experience in F1.
Yeah, I think that was done on the basis because I think his contract's up in 2022.
And the next year.
Yeah, so I feel like Bottas will have one more year at Mercedes, and then Russell will come and take Bottas's place. I think.
Yeah, I think he will as well. If Russell wins this weekend,
I think he might.
Yeah, I think he might as well. If he wins this weekend, then 100% next year Bottas will be his last year, and that would be it. Russell will be in his place. Yeah,
I watched a bit of FP1 and FP2, and obviously Russell came first in both of them, didn't he?
Yeah.
He came first by quite a bit as well in one of them, I think.
Yeah, the first. I can't think which one it was, but I think it was FP2. Bottas did set a quicker time in that towards the end, but it got deleted because he was extending track limits.
Yeah, because they're struggling with that. One of the last, the little chicane bit.
They can't judge how far why they should really be going. Sort of.
Yeah,
it is a bit of a tricky one, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting weekend. See an F1 race where your lap times are 54 seconds is incredible.
Yeah,
but Russell is Russell's a quick driver anyway, and he's an aggressive driver.
Yeah.
So I think that Mercedes car suits him down to the ground.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, look at what he's done with Williams countless times this year. He's got him on the brink of points. He's finished 11th, 12th a couple of times, and admittedly in San Marino he did crash out, which he did feel bad for. But then at the end of the day, he's still a rookie. It's only his second season technically.
Yeah, well, he's missed George Russell.
Huh?
He's missed a Saturday, isn't he, George Russell?
He always beats his teammates.
Yeah, unreal qualifying pace.
Yeah.
And I was not. I mean, the Williams car though, in a straight line, it's one of the quickest cars, but it's the rest of the car that.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I remember when they came in with the V6 hybrids first time round, like when it all changed to like 7 years ago. And I remember when it was Mercedes up the top with Williams second because no one else was near them.
Yeah.
Like, I remember constantly it was like Hamilton, Bottas, Massa, and Rosberg all fighting in the top four. Always was, every week in week out. Then the moment that first year finished and the second year came in, everyone else caught up and Williams went straight to the back.
Yeah, that's what happened.
They just haven't recovered.
No.
Hence why it's no longer owned by the Williams family anymore. So.
Other bit of big news as well was Mick Schumacher to Haas next year, isn't it?
Yeah, Schumacher named back in F1 after 8 years. I think it was.
I believe it's 8 years.
Yeah,
I think 2012.
Yeah, 2012 was when his dad retired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second time round.
Yeah, I had a friend that saw that and messaged me and was like, "How was he racing again? I thought we were still in hospital."
There's a bit of an age difference.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. I was like, hang on, I thought Schumacher was half dead.
No, it's done.
Yeah, well, he's on the verge of winning the F2 championship. I think he could win it this weekend.
Yeah, he's very close to, isn't
he? Yeah.
Another British lads driving this weekend as well, and Jack Aiken.
Yeah, he's taken over George Russell's place at Williams.
Yeah,
nice.
I feel a little bit sorry for Lewis Hamilton in the sense of, I think if he doesn't if he doesn't race this weekend and he doesn't race in Dubai, then obviously that's the end of or Abu Dhabi, sorry, it's the end of the season. And he only needs to win one more race to have the most wins in a Formula One season.
He needed to win both. That's why, because they said the moment he got ruled out for this one, they said he can't do it because he needed. I think he needed to win both to beat it, or one of them to match it. But
I didn't know.
Out of this weekend, he now can't. He can't beat it, which is what he wants to do.
Well, he's won the title, so let George Russell race for the next 2 weekends.
Yeah,
Let Lewis.
Lewis's self-isolation technically ends next Thursday, so if he still tests positive, Perez did technically at Silverstone.
Yeah,
because he came down with it like the same sort of times before Grand Prix, missed that one, retested and came back positive again, so he missed the second one. So I wouldn't be surprised to do the same for Hamilton, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Should we talk about the crash?
Honestly, that crash, it was bad.
Have you seen it?
Very bad.
Did you watch it live?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't see it live. I found out because everyone started talking about it, and all I see, the little clip that I saw, I actually saw the whole crash, but the first bit I saw, just geezer just getting out of flames. He's literally just walking out of fire. He's just climbing out of fire. I thought, fuck, how is he alive?
Yeah. When I was watching the race live, and the minute he hit that barrier, my first reaction was he's dead.
Yeah.
It was tragic. That was horrible to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, his car split in half. He went through the barrier, and then all of a sudden, the camera pans to him, just like you said, just walking out of this massive fireball.
Yeah.
And
I thought he must be Jesus, because that is something to just get out of there like unscathed. Did he have any injuries to him?
He's got his hands
are burnt, and I think he have some burns on his legs or something, but nothing serious.
Yeah, nothing serious. And I think it was 3rd-degree burns on his hands, and his leg was like quite minor, and that was it.
Yeah, very lucky.
And it just goes to show though how good them suits are that they wear.
Yeah, but also it goes to show that how important that halo device was as well. Because
if they didn't have that halo, his head would have been cut clean off.
Yeah.
What's that? What's the halo thing?
It's you got the cockpit cover sort of thing. So say you're sat in the car.
Yeah.
So you sat in the car like this. You can see like this pillar in front of you, and as it comes, it kind of goes out.
It kind of goes like that around you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
And when he went into the barrier, it basically the halo lifted the barrier up, so it went over the top of his head.
Yeah.
Because the front wing and the front of the car, the nose went through the barrier, and then he went through the barrier. If that halo wasn't there, the barrier would have just gone flop like that.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see someone like, there's all the health and safety things and all the procedures we go through in these cars. That's why we do it for stuff like that. Yeah. It can save a life. It's a matter of life or death, and it clearly saved a life today. And I was like, what the fuck are you on about? But,
if that crash had happened 10 years ago, he would have died.
It happened 4 years ago, he'd have died.
Yeah. Well, if that crash had happened when there wasn't no halos, he would have been dead.
Yeah, because it was just like you were just taking his head off.
How long ago were they introduced then?
They only introduced him 2-3 years ago. They ain't been in long.
3 years, I think it's been now.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's been for like 3 years. Like this is the 3rd year they've had it, sort of thing.
No, I didn't see on the on the free practice, but I thought it'd be interesting to see where he crashed last week. I was interested to see if they've replaced the barrier with tyres or something like that instead.
I don't think they have. I think they put it back as it was.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just for the weekend, so it's something quick.
Yeah, but it was such an unexpected place to crash.
Yeah, that's why there's nothing there in the first place.
Yeah, but it seemed like to me, watching like the cockpit view of just before he crashed, there was something wrong with the car because it was pulling him, right?
Yeah, I think it was mainly also to the fact that everyone else was in a bundle in front of him. He technically he didn't have no issues getting through the corners. So he was going normal speed, and everyone else was also slowing up because they was getting each other's way and tripping over each other. So he was going quicker. Yeah. So he then thought, I'll dart to the right and try and get round. But because he needs to essentially tried to get round too quick to a point where he didn't see Kvyat behind him, and he could see Kvyat then caught him, and he just spun out and went straight into the barrier.
Yeah, I don't know how fast he hit that barrier, but it was.
I think
it
he
was
hit
bloody.
it about 150 mile an hour.
Oh,
Bloody hell.
So quite an impact.
Can you imagine? Like, you'd imagine if you were Grosjean. I mean, it happened in the space of 1-2 seconds. But if you're Grosjean, that probably happened in the space of about 10 seconds. Because I bet him the time slowed down.
Oh yeah, of course it did.
If you're going towards a barrier at 150 miles an hour and there's no protection in front of that barrier, you're thinking, well, that's me done.
Yeah, well, I think they worked out it was something stupid. Like he hit the barrier at 150 mile an hour and hit G forces on impact of about 40-50 G. The impact speed was ridiculous. Like it went from so quick to so slow, so quick. It was unreal.
Well, that's why the car split in half, wasn't it? Because the impact just basically blew the car up, because he went from 150 mile an hour to 0 in the space of 2 seconds.
Yeah, pretty much. It took him 28 to get out of the car.
Yeah, 28 seconds in that fireball. It's unreal.
Yeah, and they go through procedures to try and make them get out from the normal accident to get out the car in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's a lot longer than what he should have been.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, as well. Fair play to that steward or whoever it was that came over straight away.
Yeah.
Didn't care that there was a fireball next to him, and literally just ran straight to the car and was helping him climb over the fence and get him out.
Oh yeah, 100%. He would have been even worse if they weren't there.
Yeah, well, very brave of that guy that ran over and helped him straight away.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, any other Formula One news?
Not really anything major. I mean, other than that, what we spoke of, there's nothing really major about Formula One, to be honest.
No.
I will say, before we do the next segment, we're going to have to start another meeting because apparently I've got 5 minutes left on this. Annoyingly.
That's going to be a great bit of editing for you, isn't it?
Oh yeah, my job's just got a lot more fun.
Well, before it ends, then I'll quickly say that I think. Do you think Lewis Hamilton's going to win Sports Personality of the Year?
It's a tough one. I think he probably would, but then at the same time, because of how much admittedly, I've said to many people, because they've all moaned about him doing this Black Lives Matter and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I get he may have done a lot, but then at the same time, you name another black racing driver as popular as him.
Oh, you can't.
Exactly. So, do you really blame him for doing as much as he's done?
No.
Yeah.
No,
so that's been my argument to everyone that's mentioned it. I mean, because they've moaned about it. I've been like, well, can you blame him for doing it? They go, what do you mean? It's like, well, he's the only black racing driver. You name someone that's famous. So he's just gone.
Yeah.
Who's in the running for it?
It's Lewis Hamilton, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Jordan Henderson, some woman athlete, can't remember her name. Holly someone maybe. And Anthony Joshua, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably
for me,
Hamilton.
It should be Hamilton. I wouldn't mind if Jordan Henderson won it, but you know.
I don't know what the fuck he's doing there.
He won the Premier League. English, so it's got to be it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Technically, Lana's in the squad.
Yeah.
Does that count? It's going to start recording. Cool. Right. So on the abbreviation of that 40-minute warning, because this is a load of hunk of shit, and that's what we better when we can do it in person eventually. Yeah. So conversation of F1. Nothing else to mention, is there?
Not that I can think.
So cricket, then, or whatever you want to talk about.
I was going to talk about cricket. I don't know how much you two know about it.
Absolutely bugger all.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, I only picked cricket because team sport wise, England are the best in the world at the moment, which is amazing.
Hey, we're good at something.
And it's nice to Yeah, it's nice to have a team sport that England are actually fucking good at.
Yeah.
So,
I think we've always been around there, don't we? We've always been half decent at cricket.
yeah, I mean, in the 5 day game, we're yeah. But in like 2020s and which you've probably all heard of, and 50 overs, we're reigning world champions of the 50. The T20 World Cup's next year, I believe, in India. So, I think we're the favourites to win that, or second favourites. You're the favourites to win it. But at the moment, we're in South Africa playing against them.
Yeah, I know. I forget pop-ups on my phone from Sky Sports saying how good we're doing over and doing all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, we played three 2020 games against them and beat 1 all 3 and beat them 3-0, which was good.
So,
yeah, and we've got probably the best.
3-0 with England.
Yeah. Well, when you watch it play football, we normally lose 3-0, so
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we've got some of the best batsmen in the world at the moment in that kind of format of the game. Yeah, like I said, current reigning world champions in 50 over, and yeah, it's all good on that front. And I just thought we could talk about it for 5 minutes, as you two don't know anything about it, but it's nice to talk about something where England are actually doing well. So
yeah. To be fair, it's not often we can always say, "Oh, England are doing well at this, doing well at that."
No, do you know what? It was nice as well when we won the World Cup last summer, 2019. It was the World Cup was in this country, so it was nice to win it.
Yeah.
Obviously in your home soil, and I was in Ashes, obviously, and I think it was the Wimbledon final was that day as well. And I thought, well, I probably won't be busy because no one really cares about cricket and no one really cares about tennis that much, considering there was no British people in the final. And for the last 2-3 hours of the game, Ashes was like a football. It was like a football game in there. Everyone was screaming, shouting at the TV, and so it was quite nice going to to watch a sport somewhere that's not football that people are actually still getting behind.
Yeah. I think you bring up tennis. I do love watching a bit of tennis on Wimbledon. And can you remember when Andy Murray won it against Djokovic?
Yeah,
I remember.
That was sick. Like the whole stadium erupted. I remember at home I sat there and watched the whole bloody game. When you see you British bloke doing quality like that on a world scene, something like Wimbledon or like cricket, you see us do something. Yeah. So like subliminal in a World Cup, you always kind of get you always back your boys, even if you don't follow the sport.
Yeah.
Like when I see cricket's won, I think, oh, okay, good boys, well done, lads. Like, or when we do the Ashes or whatever it is, well done, lads. Same with tennis, same with the snooker. When I see Ronnie win again, I think, oh, good boy.
Yeah. I think I watched when you go to a pub and you watch football and that, for example, it's good atmosphere. Drinks are flowing and that, but you get idiots there. You get some idiots that if you don't support the team they're supporting because they've had 5 fucking pints of Stella or something, they want to try and knock you out. Or, if you go and watch the boxing, and obviously you get a load of blokes turn up, watch a bit of boxing, get a few beers inside of them, and all of a sudden think they're the next Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Streets after. So, but when you go to like a pub and you watch tennis or you watch, the rugby.
The rugby.
Rugby's great. When we got to the World Cup final against South Africa.
South Africa, yeah.
That last year or 2018?
2018, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think it might have been. But it started at 8, whatever year it was, it doesn't matter. It started at 8 in the morning. And the pub opened at 7. And
beautiful.
Yeah. So we were in the pub at 7:30 in the morning drinking, beers and doing Jaeger bombs and that.
I know people that was out the night before and it was about 3 in the morning and they just stayed out sort of thing. When pub opened, they went straight down there again. It was like, fuck, you literally not stopped.
Animal.
But that's
fucking animal.
When we went and watched it in that pub, there were South African fans there as well. and everyone's pissed up at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they weren't trying to fight each other because South Africa won or anything. It was the minute the full-time whistle went, most people walked over to the South African fans, shook their hands, said, good game, you were better than us, bought them a beer, and that was that.
Yeah.
And, you don't get that in other sports, and that's why football and rugby, not football and rugby, cricket and rugby are the two sports that I prefer to go and watch live over football.
Yeah.
Yeah. More unity, isn't there, with that?
Yeah. I mean, rugby, it don't matter where you sit in a stadium, they generally don't really separate the crowds. You can drink in the stands, same as cricket. And you watch England play a cricket match, especially at home, and there's 20,000 people watching it at like Edgbaston in Birmingham, and 5,000 of the England fans out of the 20,000 are there in fancy dress, all pissed up, throwing beach balls on the pitch, and just acting silly in the stands, and it's a really good atmosphere. And it's just a shame that football is so the opposite.
So much more competitive.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love football and I love watching football, but I have more fun going to watch rugby and cricket live than I do football.
Yeah. I've never actually seen like a cricket or rugby game like in person, to be fair.
Fair enough. Well, we go to Twickenham in the rugby. Twickenham do double headers. So, like, for playing the Premier League, they, you have a game at like 1 and then a game at like 4, 5 o'clock. They're playing at home or away, they play there. And you sit in the stadium for 6 hours. The bar's just behind you. You don't have to stand at the bar. You can just get your beer, sit back down. They have, outside the stadium, they have like fan zones. They have like loads of, how far can you kick a football and all that, rugby ball and all that kind of stuff. Then it's just a good atmosphere.
Yeah. It's not a bad atmosphere, to be fair.
I mean, you do get dickheads. It's like every sport, you get a dickhead there. But
you always do.
You don't get as many dickheads.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
And football fans can't handle their booze, so.
Well, we know none of us can.
Well, I've got a second.
Hang on a minute. Unless you've been necking drink pints down every day in lockdown, then fair enough. But I know me and Jake definitely haven't.
Yeah, wait, I've been on the gin, mate. I've been on the gin.
I'm still corrected. He hasn't been necking pints.
If drinking was an Olympic sport, I think I'd be up there. So it's all right.
Yeah, to be fair, you probably would be.
Yeah.
Every time I walk into the pub, you always have a picture.
Mate, you 4 pints for £11. Can't complain.
Yeah, until you end up pouring it yourself and you have to lose about half a pint, innit?
I'm a barman. I can pour a perfect pint. Thank you very much.
I've got to see that to believe that.
Yeah, so have I.
Mate, I worked in pubs for 7 years. I'd like to think I could pull a pint all right.
He's gotten away with it for 7 years. Everyone who ever asks him for anything only buys bottles off him.
Yeah.
You've given away my secret, mate.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm just going out on the internet. Everyone's going to know now.
Yeah. Take. Well, if anyone sees me behind a bar, please just order bottles.
Please. I beg.
Make my life
You do pour a good J2O though.
No, well, thank you for that, mate. I'll get the right amount of ice to J2O ratio.
Yeah, and
you do.
at least you also remember to shake it, I suppose.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to sport.
Yeah, swiftly moving on.
In last week's video when I basically we were talking about Arsenal Fan TV.
Yes.
Yes.
I said that DT guy's a prick.
Yeah.
I saw another clip after. Who did they lose to this week? They lost to Wolves, didn't they? 2-1.
Yeah.
And I don't know the guy's name, but he looks like KSI's brother, Deji.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember him when he was younger and he had the glasses and that?
Yeah.
This geezer at Arsenal Fan TV looks exactly the same as him, right? And he's like the positive one of the group, yeah.
Yeah.
And they lose, and he's like, yeah, but he's also a conspiracy theorist, right? And they lost to Wolves, and he was going, "Nah, the ref was against us. The Premier League pay the refs because they don't want Arsenal to win, and all this kind of stuff." They lost to Wolves, played like shit, and he's going, "Oh yeah, no, we're going to do Tottenham next week. Harry Kane and Son, they ain't that great. They haven't really done much this season."
Fuck me.
Oh yeah, I was watching it and I was thinking, "Oh my fuck, no, we're going to beat Spurs. We have Spurs can't take points off of us, all this kind of stuff." And it's like Arsenal have taken about 6 points off Spurs in the last 5 years, I think. So it's stupid like that. And this guy's
being like that shit that you have to come out and say, the Premier League's against us. Imagine being that shit and in denial.
He won't turn around in any of the videos that I've ever seen it. And I don't purposely go out and watch these videos. They just pop up on your Facebook or whatever.
They just come to you. They just come to you. Gold.
And it's comedy gold. But Arsenal lose, and he won't say, "Oh, the team is shit," or "Arteta tactically got it wrong," or "These players are crap." He never says that, and there's always it's always the ref was crap, or VAR hates us, or there's a conspiracy theory.
Everyone, to be fair.
VAR is bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, you've been hurt this season, haven't you, by VAR? Bless you.
Yeah, Liverpool, my arse.
It was at the beginning. It was a fucking rough ride watching you get everything your way. But now, like, Van Dijk's out for a season because Pickford stabbed him in the bloody knee, and no one bats an eye.
But against Brighton, that was a joke. Like,
that was funny.
I've seen Andrew Robertson. All right, I think it was a penalty. But I've seen them 80% of the time they don't get given.
Mm.
And the offside rule needs to be fixed as well, because if you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, it's taken from the line's taken from your shoulder. If you're wearing a short sleeve shirt, the line is taken from the end of your shirt.
How does that make sense?
It goes
Exactly.
to the same place every time.
They give a striker gets given offside, like Bamford the other week, where the line comes down from his bloody wrist, or his elbow. But why is the line not drawn there for the defender?
Yeah. They just go, "Oh, where should you put the line today?"
Yeah, but if you can score a goal and get away with it using your arm, then you can stop a goal and get away with it using your arm.
Of course.
Yeah.
So,
both ways.
and I did a bit of reading into it, and in Holland, they use VAR in their top league, but there has to be in an offside. There has to be a clear gap between both lines for it to be deemed as offside. So if someone goes through on goal and they score, and the linesman keeps his flag down, and then they draw the lines, and the defending line is touching the attacking line, it's still given as a goal.
Bloody hell.
The only way it gets overruled is if you see grass between both of the lines.
Yeah.
And I think that should be brought into every league, because you're not gonna eventually football's gonna become boring, and you're not gonna get them strikers and them wingers that play off the last man.
No.
Because they're too scared that every time they score,
you lose the attacking touch at the end.
Yeah, you just every time a ball's played through and you're on the last man and you beat him, you're just gonna be given offside every time.
Mm.
But the thing is,
it needs to be looked at, doesn't it? It needs to be fixed, and surely they know it. Surely they know week in, week out. Oh, what have we done?
Yeah, but
like, you've got to think.
It's classic Premier League, though, isn't it? The people that are in charge of the Premier League are all ancient old blokes that won't do anything off their own back. They're 4 years behind everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They won't. Yeah. The Premier League won't change it until every other league in Europe has changed it.
Yeah.
They won't go and do anything.
And we'll be the last. Yeah, we'll be the last.
They won't go out and do anything on their own accord. They won't. Do you know? And every fan thinks it's rubbish. Every player thinks it's crap. Every manager thinks it's crap. And I think if you're offside by a fucking millimetre because the line is touching the defender's line and you can't overlap them, then that's ridiculous.
Mm.
And I think that you shouldn't have referees that referee actual games, like Mike Dean and that, shouldn't be VAR refs. It should be split separately. So you have your refs that do the game, and then you have refs that do VAR, and they don't cross over.
Yeah.
And you have people that are trained and know how to use that technology, and you leave people, Michael Oliver and whoever the fucking idiot is that was a VAR ref for Liverpool Everton, they just stick to doing the games on the pitch.
Yeah.
They need to make the changes, and so otherwise, like you said, will get boring. People, I mean, it's like, what's that putting it? To a degree, you probably get more enjoyment out of playing FIFA when it comes to scoring goals, because at least you know if it goes in, then you know it's goal. Which I'm right, aren't I?
No, have you ever been pulled up for offside on FIFA? You go, yes, and it's like, no, blow the whistle.
Yeah, no, but you cotton onto it though, because you see the linesman's flag go. You cotton on and think, oh, okay, I'm not going to bother celebrating because I know it's off.
Well, I'll tell you what, unless when I watch Liverpool, unless we score, Bremer by 30 yards, I don't celebrate.
Yeah.
Because you celebrate.
I never celebrate either. I don't celebrate anything now unless once it's done, next kickoff's done. Because the amount of times I've prematurely celebrated, and my brother goes, "Oh, wait, someone elbowed someone, or Harry Maguire done another foul on someone," and it's like, "Thanks."
No, exactly.
Well, before we lose our shit with VAR.
Just quickly, we're talking about refs. Peter Crouch does a podcast with two other blokes that I've never heard of in my life. And Mike, I don't know if you've seen it, but Mike Dean was the guest on it.
I think I've heard of this, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, and obviously they were talking about what he's like and that, because he's a bit OTT as a ref, and he's a bit comical, like with the thing.
Yeah.
But he was the ref when City first won the league and Aguero scored that goal with the famous Martin Tyler commentary. The Aguero.
Yeah.
I'm reminded.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. And Aguero ran off, took his shirt off and celebrated the goal. And Mike Dean gave him a yellow card, obviously, because that's the look. And they said to him, like, how did you feel that, it's a great winning moment for Man City? They've won the first league, their first Premier League title. The way they've done it, obviously, the stadium's going mad, the players are going mad, and you have to go over there and book him for taking his shirt off. And Mike Dean was like, I felt bad doing it, but that's the law. It's been like that for years. And they were like, yeah, fair enough. And I had a lot of respect for Mike Dean saying this. He was like, if Aguero was already on a yellow card when he did that, he was like, I wouldn't have sent him off. He was like, I wouldn't have sent him off. I would have finished the game and I would have taken the hit myself.
Yeah, that's
fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
I thought that was I had a lot of respect for him for saying that, because I think some referees like to be the centre of attention. So.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I personally would set him off.
If you're a United fan.
No, nothing to do with that. I just got to stick to the law. You know what I mean? No, it makes me think they are humans. They are humans. They're not just bloody droids walking around being useless.
Yeah. I agree. Should we move on to your interesting story for us then, Jake?
Let's go for it.
Yes, well, we're going to wrap up this podcast, lads, with something that I saw Thursday, which really made me chuckle. In Namibia, there is a city, town called Aponja, right? And in the local council election, a gentleman named Adolf Hitler won 85% of the vote. He didn't realise what his name meant, right? So he, what did he say? He jokingly said it, because everyone's like, oh, you just won the election, but your name's Adolf Hitler. Like, that's a bit weird. And he said, right, okay, first of all, guys, I'm not planning on global domination. This is literally what he said. He goes, I'm not planning on it. It's not my idea. Father came out and said, gave him his name without realising who Hitler was. I guess they haven't got World War II books in Namibia. And one of the quotes from the bloke, what was his name? Adolf Hitler. He said, "It was a perfectly normal name for me when I was a kid. It wasn't until I grew older that I realised that this man wanted to subjugate the whole world and kill millions of Jews."
My God.
Right? And there's a whole Sky News article about how Adolf Hitler won a general election in Namibia, and it blew my mind. Like, they're just so unaware of the fact that this geezer killed millions of people. Like, imagine they named the son Adolf Hitler.
So is he the is he like the mayor of that city, or is he actually like?
He's the mayor of Umpunja. He won 85 votes. But like another background information is that Namibia used to be a former German colony back in the day.
Right.
That's like street names and like second names, etc. are, they're quite common.
Yeah.
But I just thought Hitler was a bit of a stretch. He looks like a proper geek, like a normal bloke, like a normal big black Namibian guy. He's just wakes up and he's just Adolf Hitler. It's just like, that's amazing. I'd share it. I might visit Apunja one day.
The only assumption I can make that they know nothing about it is because they used to be a German colony, so they've just wiped that part of history completely away.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "No, we've never had any with Germany. We don't even know who they are. No, they never used to. We never used to be one of theirs. No, not at all."
But that's it. That's how I was going to wrap it up.
No, that's brilliant.
Back for you all.
Yeah, quite funny.
That's a pretty good way to end it.
Cool.
Right. Well, it's been a pleasure as always, lads.
Yeah, always is.
Yeah. Until next week, boys.
I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.